People squad, unite. We had 890 over the weekend, so seems to be you're somewhere. We were probably in the middle. There was a bunch of 850s from really good teams as well, and then there was upwards of the 1,000 mark or close to that. So 890 for us. Obviously, no Cleary hurts a lot. Captaining Hines is another drop in a few points, and then Lemuelu. That was where we went wrong basically. In the hooker and midsection, great. You had Fafita in the edge. Obviously, you had Johnson there as our looper. We ended up taking the 36 from Sanders Smith in the end, and then was going to play Lemuelu. And unfortunately, Tafade got the 43 over Lem in that one, in that that finisher game. So frustrating on that front. Garrick and Manu. We had Karaz 52, over Teddy in my team, for example. So that worked out okay, but we didn't crack into that 1,000. Now, with 4 trades remaining, it looks like we'll probably have a good shot at getting there. With Jack DeBellin likely to be out for the 3 weeks, we'll see if he does face that charge and try and get off it. But if he doesn't, that helps a team like us that now has 4 trades remaining and the 57k in the bank. So we could go up to Isaiah, which would be really, really cool. So that is just less than 40k that we need to get to Isaiah, which is good. We have Haas already, so that doesn't matter. But if we just wanted to straight swap our mid there, which might be a good idea, but we also have Tohu Harris coming back. So Tohu Harris could come straight into DeBellin, and then we could select whoever we wanted, except for Cleary. So maybe this is the week that we do trade a DeBellin up to Cleary, and for that, we do need a few extra cash dollars, and I think it'll be just under 100k we'll need. Yep, just under 100k we'll need, and we'll have to get there via another source. So that could be a Valance. It could be a Sanders Smith. It could be something like that to even like a Dan Russell who seems to be doing really well. And that would be the best way to potentially get to Cleary, considering we have plenty of cover in the edge and also the midsection. We probably don't need another one. So that's where we're at in the people squad at the moment. We did win in the Community Cup by 35 points. And how our one works there is that we have 8 teams. So we just have the top 4. So we have the prelim final, and then we have the grand final. So this is a 2-week final series, and we're coming second at the moment, just. So we'll play third. If we win that, we'll go straight to the final. So we'll review that as we go into it. There's a few of the teams that aren't playing anymore, so that's sad. But yeah, we should be able to do pretty well in that final series, which starts next week. We have one more round game to come. So People Squad, that's probably where we'd be at the moment, I think. Very simply looking to get Cleary in and having heaps of mids and edges. We don't need another one. You're looking at our half position. We still have Moses, we have Hines, we have Johnson. So in that sense, we're sitting pretty well. In our Eels sense, we only have 2, which again isn't too bad. Potentially, if we still have 2 after this week, that will we'll sit pretty well going into the next bunch of rounds. Considering we have a Bronco, 1 South, we have 1 Cowboys player, so we're pretty well set for the remaining rounds there in terms of not having too many guys out. And this week with Tohu and also Johnson out, we did okay. We didn't lose too many ranks, so that's where that squad's out at the moment. Let's get into mine. So we did have a nice jump in ranks this week into 64th, which is very, very good, obviously. And things couldn't have started worse, to be honest with you, with a few people looping out Manu and not taking that 15. I had to cop that 15 in my centers, obviously. Didn't have to in the end because I had Val who ended up scoring fairly solidly. And if it all played out, in hindsight, obviously, could have had Manu as a looper, had Penasini in as the starter, and then could potentially have looped Tafade, or I think I really would have looped hands, to be honest with you. He would have been my number 5. But we could have put him in the number 5 there, I believe. Yep. And then we could have ended up going, no, we don't want the 9, obviously, so we'll take the 43. But that's okay. You live and you learn. Sometimes you just trust your boys, and it doesn't work out. And that's how it went with obviously Manu, with obviously Teddy as well. So to come back with a 995 is what we ended up with. It was a very, very good score. In the end, for the week, we made 24 rankings, and I believe this is the best of the year for us. I think we're 67th maybe a month ago, which is really, really cool. What was it, 92 in 20, 101. What do we got? 97, 77. Where are we? 62. Oh, damn it. It's not our best for the year. Okay. There you go. There you bloody go. So that was that. 64 and 995. Solid round rank as well. There's plenty of people that beat us at 1913 we are for the week. But yeah, 2 trades remaining. Having DeBellin out and having Max King on the bye. With that bench that we have now, we can't really trust Brendan Hands, which is frustrating given the minutes that he received on the weekend hopefully we can trust Val to keep playing. That would be helpful. And if Jesse Colquhoun can get in that starting side again, then we could look to play him in our side. But again, it's a little bit of a worry. So having de Belin, King, Hands, Tafade, and also Jesse Colquhoun, guys that we don't really want to play, that leaves 16 good players, and then trying to loop between probably Val and Hands, or Val and Jesse, I'd say at this point. So that's if we didn't make any trades. The other option would be to trade once, and that would be de Belin out, and that would keep us a really strong 17 with Johnson returning and going to be playing, and the rest of the guys there we're not going to be worried about as much. Manu and Teddy, they do play the Thursday night game this week, which is up against a slightly easier opponent, thank goodness, in Manly. So a little bit easier than that of the Broncos, that's for sure, and hopefully they can do really well in that first game. But I definitely will be looping one of them. Let's decide who do we reckon we should be looping. Is it going to be Manu, or should we be looping Tedesco in that one? It'll be very, very interesting how that's going to play out, to be honest with you there, because we definitely have to try and loop one of them, but I think they both will go back to some decent scores. And as I said, if we're looking at my 17th man being one of these guys, or we're trying to loop one of them, then if we can get away with those guys doing well, that would be great. Penasini comes up against the Dragons this week, so that's not a big worry for us, especially the left side of their defense is not the side that we want to worry about. It's the Lomax side where I think some nice missed tackles can come from, that's for sure. So team's looking solid overall. Probably in Bateman, you'd imagine that Bateman can improve from his score. Hines will improve from there. Cleary won't, likely. Garrick at 42 is a little bit low for what we want from him. I think he'll be able to do well against the Roosters in this coming week. And then, Horsburgh should bounce back as well, and Fafita was back to some of his best. So we spoke about law of averages and making sure that you have the majority of those best players, and they will likely get back to big scores, or at least their average. So that happened with Fafita and Cleary, and was the reason why I scored well this week and was able to move up in the rankings. So that's my squad at the moment. Who I would trade de Belin to, I don't have enough, unfortunately, with the 34 to get straight to Isaiah Yeo. I'm a little bit short, about 16k short with that one there. And the funny one, the best option following that is going to be Mitch Moses, which is funny. But I can't do that. I can't get another eel in my side. We got DCE, Munster, Adam Fanua Blake, all really solid options. Joe Tarpany as well. Latrell Mitchell could be a really interesting one, to be honest with you. Hadn't thought of him yet, but he's definitely one. I could definitely loop Teddy then. And then, get Latrell of that lovely run up until round 26. When I'll have him and Murray out. We'll have to find out, I think, with team list based on where those guys are at in the Brendan Hands, Tafade, and also Jesse Colquhoun, as to where my team's at, because I don't want to get to that week and be really struggling to field a strong 17 if I have Latrell and Murray out. Something to think about. It might be worth just picking another guy that doesn't have a bye in that in one of those last few weeks. Moving to the ranking side of things, and Nigel still sticks up top, and he had a pretty solid week there of 986, so I just clawed back a few points on him. Still so far behind at 622, which is just crazy. Todd, who I've been following for about 10 rounds now, I saw that he had a lot of trades in the bank, and now he's sitting in second position with a lovely 999. I was at 1001 before the Harry Grant and whatever update, so Todd would have been the same there. So a really, really good season for him. And I believe he has maybe 4 trades left from what I see on footystatistics.com. Ben moves into third and Brenton goes down to fourth with just a little bit of a lower score at 946. Not the worst in the world, but when these guys go 1,000 plus, it makes it pretty tough to stay in your position. But that top 3 there, second, third, and fourth, is decided by less than 50 right now. So yeah, very, very cool what's happening with that top 5 at the moment. Grant's a little bit further back in 5th, and then Max a fair way down, 45 points further down in 6th there. So yeah, overall, congratulations to all the top 10. You've got your names there. Some good stuff there. And Mr. Booze Clues, Nigel, is still firmly in the lead with 5 games to go. Believe running out of trades, but that little push ahead this week has been very, very helpful for him in that one. Let's move to our leagues now, and we will start off with the Podcasters League. This is where we want to go to first. I'm still in 4th, but a much improved week for myself. Stuart Cannon's into first place now. Unfortunately, a low score from Chris Rogualdo there, 865 for him, and just didn't work out very well, unfortunately. Captain Horsburgh as well. I did see a few others with the horse, and no Cleary. So, Hines, DCE. If you captain Hines, it would have been only 4 points extra, to be honest with you there. And then Val Holmes. That's a very frustrating trade in. Looked really good until he absolutely whacked someone. And, he's going to be out, it looks like, longer term. Unfortunately, they end up missing out on the Lemuelu, so he looped him, I saw, and then ended up bringing in Tanner Boyd for 49. So that helped, but not the best week there for 865. And I am 69 points behind him there, and then 100 points behind Eddie now, who I did catch up a few on as well. And then pushed away from Lockie a little bit. Nick there, unfortunately, a tough week for Mark, for TK. Rob was solid there with his 963. So overall, a solid round for myself for sure. Made some good ranks, and as the second best now position I have been so far. And the Podcasters League is very, very hot. Some quality coaches having a cracking year this year, that's for sure. All right, so I moved in 21st in my NRL Fantasy Analysis community, second in the private group. Back there, it's a tight tussle up top with Matt in the top 50 at 47, I believe. Yeah. Will is just behind me now. I did actually take over. I was ahead by 3 coming into this. He's 66, and then Lockie in at the 116 mark. Sam at 180. So 5 guys out of the 108, 105, whatever it is. That I think there's a couple of head-to-head teams in there that are in that top 200, which is very, very good. And then the funny one that a few people asked me about is the Cowboys official. I'm into 4th, which is very, very cool. I won that probably 5 years ago or something, 6 years ago. And then Cherry Brown Fan Club, I'm actually into 2nd of my own fan clubs, which is pretty cool. So I am, how far behind? A fair way behind, 131 behind, but I just moved ahead of the 3rd and 4th place, and also 5th actually, with Gumby having a bit of a lower one as well, and Oho. So actually, Oho was in a very, very high position for a large part of this year and is down to 95th. So it's actually just crazy to see a points difference from like a really good player. So Dan coming in 28th, myself at 64th, and then let's go 200 ranks down, and you're into 215, which doesn't seem that far away. The ranking 215, like you say, a couple of good weeks and you'd be overtaking me, but that's 200 points now. It's pretty hard to catch up when most of our teams are fairly similar. So you go down another couple hundred points and you're 572. So Greg there with the 963 in the private group, he's having a really good year. He's 400 points behind me, and that's 572. So crazy how big the jumps are points wise as you get down the line. That's all really, I suppose. Yeah, we know who's leading the fantasy analysis community. So head-to-head comps for myself, we got some really tough ones. I wanted to just take a look at the ham-to-head. So actually straight into the qualifying finals this week, and this is the top 8 it ends up, and it's really, really cool actually, fantasy fill in there, which is good to see the overall ladder. So you've got Eddie at 37, AFG Kosi George at 52, I'm at 64. You got Gumby into 88th after a bit of a tough round for him. Scoops 116, we have a 301, 430, 493, 655, 954. So basically 8-10 guys in the top 10, in the top 1,000, sorry. And then Josh, I Love Damages More, who won last year, got a 919 and an 883 for Aiden. Both pushed their way out, unfortunately, of the top 1,000 this week, and they were firmly in there. So absolutely crazy, those guys, and how good this comp is. And Dent was well in the top few thousand there for earlier in the year. So very, very tough league in that one. And then I'm second in that one, second in the Gargarov, first in the Rudleys, second in the Revenge of the Broncos. So hopefully my 2 trades is enough to do well in those head-to-head leagues as well. So that one, we had the qualifying final in this week, and I don't in the Gargarov. It's around 23 final round, and then we go grand final in round 27. There you go. That's obviously a overall league, not a head-to-head league. But that is that video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that. You like seeing where everyone's at, especially the podcasters, the battle of the podcasts, which is fun. And we'll see you in the next few videos. Thanks, guys.